Hello and welcome into Beacon Space here at Unrestricted Warfare. I'm your host, Xavier, as you all may know me. And right as we get started here, thank you, Demeist, for the 6-month sub. We're going to get started here with our approximately monthly faction turn. And yeah, if you don't know what's going on here, welcome into Unrestricted Warfare. I'm your host, Xavier, as I've just said, and this is our rendition of the Stars Without Numbers faction turn, generated and turned into a multiplayer game. It'll be very exciting to see what happens with our 9 factions this turn, along with our bonus GM-controlled faction that follows a bunch of special rules with the White Whale. We've modified the base game of the faction turn from the Stars Without Numbers revised edition quite a bit, so if you know that system at all, you'll hopefully be able to catch some changes and differences, but if not, we'll try to explain the rules as we go along and some of the things we've added in to make this easier. So you're looking at the spreadsheet right now where we track everything, and I get to feel very accomplished. I this morning finished off putting in all of the trades from the past 2 turns, because apparently I was slacking on copying those into the spreadsheet, so they've been moved over and transferred on in. And then we also have our nice visualization tool, which we just referred to as the Stars Without Number map, that gets to visualize all that information that's on our spreadsheet in a more easy to understand way. So we can take a look here, for example, the planet of Telos, and figure out that the Children of the Vein are the planetary governor controller, and there are a bunch of these different assets on planet. One of which, the White Whale's color is very close to the Tahora Fai. So the White Whale owns this asset, and these are Tahora Fai assets. So that's not easy to see zoomed out, but yeah. Let's see. I don't think I have any announcements as we get started today. Before I do get started with the stream proper, though, is the balance between the audio, the music, and my voice fine? Can people hear me over the music okay? I think it looks fine on the audio levels, but audio levels can be deceiving compared to actually listening to the audio. So hopefully somebody can confirm that for me in just a moment, and if that is indeed the case, we'll go ahead and get started. Cool, so just as a reminder, this is Faction Turn 17 as we get started with that in here in the world of Beacon Space. So first up this turn, we have the Assembled Commonwealth that is taking actions. Oh, excuse me, actually, we have a TTGI vote to complete, and I think my notes are wrong here. This is a fantastic start to the stream. When I think my notes are wrong. So give me just a moment here. And it's important because it could potentially impact this turn. Yes, my notes are entirely wrong. So give me just a second to go find everyone's vote so that I can make sure that it's correct. Oops. Well, in the meantime, I guess I can talk a little bit more about what Beacon Space is while I try to fix my own mistake here. So Beacon Space is our sci-fi setting world in which we're set in somewhat of the future, where the world exists far away from any known sector that we are currently in real life. So this is somewhere else deep in space, and humans were called to it by an event that's colloquially referred to as the beacon, where a flash of light of energy spread very quickly across the known universe, so that we can and drew a bunch of different species, including humans, to this world. There's an entire timeline that takes place on the wiki if you're interested in learning more throughout the eras of history. But that history does hopefully not repeat itself far too often here. Okay, I think just one more second. Okay. So my numbers were right, but the vote that I had written down in my notes were wrong. Okay, glad to know that I've just confirmed that. And so with that, I can say that the TTGI vote for this month then is we can say that the TTGI vote for this month was that the Telos Terra Group initiative was considering additional funding to increase exploration or advance the terraforming on Telos even sooner. So the first option on this vote was removing the faction credit penalty for moving into unexplored hexes for this turn and the following turn, and option 2 was advancing the terraforming clock by 1. With the voting results in, we had 6 factions voting for option 1, 1 vote for option 2, and 2 abstentions. So the faction credit penalty for exploring unexplored hexes will be revoked for the next 2 turns. So that could impact turns later on in this faction turn, so hopefully I'll be able to keep track and fix any of that if it does come up. So, now that I've fixed my notes mistake, let's go ahead and get started with the faction turn, where we get to get started with the Assembled Commonwealth, who is first to this turn. And they aren't setting a goal, but they are going to get some money and then immediately spend it on a new asset. So let's go give them their income before we forget, and then we'll go buy their asset for them. So the Assembled Commonwealth currently has a balance of 13 faction credits. An income of 6 will bring them up to 19. If we go take a look at the asset tracker, we can see that they're going to try to buy a new asset here, so let's go ahead and purchase that for them right up here. Yes sheet, it's fine for me to edit. So we're going to add an Assembled Commonwealth. They're going to purchase a bank asset, which if we drag this down, we can see would normally cost 12 faction credits. However, they own several commodities brokers right over here. And if we take a look at the end of these columns, hopefully the text is big enough to read, we can see that there are discounts here of a total discount across these 4 commodities brokers of, is that 17 faction credits? Wow, that's well more than needed to to overkill the assets. They can only take the cost to buy a bank down to half of its original purchase cost. So as we can see here, this is a 12 faction credit asset being purchased onto planet AE, and so that will only cost them 6. So we just gave them 6 faction credits and we take them away, just for transparency there. So that gives them a new asset, and that does come in with purchase sickness, of course, as a can't be used this turn. That's not the only thing they're doing on their turn, though. The second thing they're going to do is take advantage of the map modification rules to try to develop a planet. So if we come down here and look, we can see that the Peleus in the Astanar sector of 1312 currently only has a failed colony amount of population on it, and so we're going to be trying to modify the population on this planet for them. So if we take a look at the rules here, so this is our modifications rules document. I can just give me a second to find the map modification rules as we wait for the search to catch up. This is a pretty big document. There it goes. So this, I believe, is a relatively hard thing to do. So with a DC of 11, and it has a population here where it can change the population of the planet, and there's a clarification for changing population for how this happens. But the difficulty is 11, and this roll is made with a D10 plus the modifiers they gain from their constellation and any faction credits they were going to spend on this roll. These are some custom rules if you're interested in knowing where these came from. So they aren't spending any money on this roll, but they are gaining a +4 from their constellation, so that gives them a d10 plus 4 and a difficulty of 13. Will beat the DC of 11, so that's a success for them. They, however, don't seem to have given me rules on how to, or told me what they want to change to. So what I'm gonna do, rather than try to figure it out on stream, is I'll just let them do this same thing that they would normally do for a renaming of a planet, where they can process it in a little bit after a faction turn. Yeah, we're going to go with that. And that way they can get back to me with the change afterwards. So I'm going to go ahead and just mark this as a success on the notes, and they can indicate to me what change they wanted out of this. As it seems, I didn't transfer the actual rules about changing population onto the rules sheet from the map modification document, so maybe I'll need to do that afterwards. But success versus DC 11, but that seems like a perfectly fine way to do that. So that'll come out in next, hopefully by the lore stream later this month, or later next month, I guess. We'll have an update on what exactly this modified population does, but it was a success. And that does wrap up their turn, so we'll get to move right along to the next faction in line today, which is the Larkspur Combine. Which, they get to start with some fun XP expenditures, so let's go take care of that first before we continue to process their turn. So Larkspur Combine has 15 experience. They're going to spend 9 of it, taking them down to 6 experience to raise their force from a 4 to a 5. They're then going to spend the next 6 experience that they have left, bringing them down to 0 to raise their cunning from a 3 to a 4, which, as we can see as the spreadsheet automatically updates, their income has increased up to 6, giving them an increase in income this turn. So they'll actually gain 6 faction credits, so they'll get 12 here. They're then going to take the goal inside enemy territory, but they're going to complete it this turn, so I won't set it. And they're going to be taking the refit action. And so if we can check the asset tracker for them, we can see that they purchased an asset last turn, so that no longer has purchasing sickness on it. And they received a harvester's asset as part of a trade. They're going to be refitting this asset, which is a facility, into another facility asset type of the PostTech Industry. So we'll go ahead and click that over for them. And that will cost them a total of 6 faction credits, or the difference between the asset costs. So we'll get to come over here and go, well, they just gained 6 faction credits, and back down to 6 they go. People are making the math easy for me today with gaining the same number of faction credits as they're spending. Maybe that'll continue. That would make my life really easy if all the math is just, add money and then take it away. Something tells me it won't quite work that way, though. Now, we do have some strike fleets to move, especially as this is going to cost them a little bit more money, so getting ruined right away on my ideal. But let's see here where they're going to be moving some assets to. So they have a strike fleet here on Idarast, and that is moving to Mankiraniti. And then they have 3 strike fleets. They have one down here on Moss that is going to be moving to Heliositis. And then they have 2 here on Mankiraniti that are just going to move to Idarast. I think I could have done the same thing I did last time and only moved one of them because they all have the same HP count, but alas, I've moved them all this time. So all of those movements have taken place, costing 1 faction credit each, so that will take the Larkspur Combine down to 2 faction credits. It does complete their goal, giving them 2 experience. And that wraps up their turn, and I've just noticed I don't have the note about complete. Complete goal plus 2 XP. Perfect. That takes care of their turn. Let me just make sure that note is on my local copy of the notes as well. Great. And we'll move right along to the next faction in a row this time, bringing us to the Tahora Fayi, who are continuing the trend of spending some experience. So let's go. That's not quite what I was trying to copy. Thank you. So they're continuing the trend of expending some experience. So let's go take care of that for them first. So the Tahora Fayi are going to spend their 6 experience to take their cunning stat up to a 4. They will then gain their, well, they're now going to set the exploration goal, and they're going to gain their 12 faction credits, bringing them up to 18. They've very politely reminded me too that they have an asset with purchase sickness where that goes away, so we'll take care of that. And then we can take a look that they have a strike fleet out somewhere way over here in the hex 0012, where there's this point of interest number 3 that has a strike fleet on it that is going to do some exploration. So let's go ahead and process that for them. So this strike fleet gets to roll a d10 plus 5, because 5 is their force stat, and we can see that this hex is quite far away from, I think, the nearest explored planet. I think that'd be right over here, right? 1, 2, 3 hexes away. So that would be an original difficulty of 14. However, we currently still have active from last turn that the difficulties are all reduced by 1 hex. But I do believe that means the success at cost chance, or success at cost, has gone up to a d6. Let me just double check that. Is that the case, or am I misremembering what's active? I'm misremembering what's active. That was 2 turns ago, so that one has disabled. Good. I thought I was smart not to try to overlap my activations of things affecting the faction turn. So cool. This is actually just the original costs there, which would be 8, 10. What is that? 1, 2, 3 hexes away. So I think it should be a cost of 14. But let me pull the math up. Actually, I have the exploration explained document. This is faster. A 8 plus 2 times the nearest hex with a maximum of 14. So nearest hex away here is 1, 2, 3. I don't think 210 is any closer. 1, 2, 3. Nope. Yeah, because strike fleets can travel 2 hexes away, so yeah, I believe both of these are points of interest. Yep. So I do believe the difficulty is 14, not 12. If that happens to be the case, I'll double check with the faction afterwards, but I'm getting a difficulty of 14. So we'll see they need to beat 14, but lo and behold, they do with rolling a second 9 on a d10 today. Wow, pretty lucky. So that will get us some planets in this hex. Let's see how many. A 2 will just give us 1 planet, which is maybe not that bad of a planet. Let's, oops, give me just a moment to move over so that I can add it into the map. So this is in the 012 system right here. So this is going to be now become planet BQ. It has the mechanics tag of +2 to force assets. The planetary controller gains +2 to force assets and loses 1 from another, one of the asset stat cap. So that's how many assets you can have before you start paying a fee to go over your stat for a particular type of asset. There is hundreds of millions of people living on this world that are TL3, with a breathable mixed atmosphere that is variable cold and has a missable biosphere. All things considered, not that bad of a planet. It has freak weather and a mandate base, however. So maybe that's less ideal? I don't know. The Ruin's roll, unfortunately, was only a 3, so not quite good enough for a Ruin to appear on this planet, but hopefully there's more exploration to take place later on. So let's go back to finishing up the Tohora Fai's turn. They're leaving the strike fleet Pleasant in that hex, so they aren't going to be moving it quite yet. But they are going to move a few other strike fleets. So they have 2 strike fleets located in the hex 1110, which is right here. These 2 strike fleets are going to go down into the hex 1211. So let's go take care of both of those movements for them and go charge them for it, bringing them down to 16 faction credits. And there are 2 strike fleets here. They're going down to 1211. Perfect. That's been taken care of. They're then going to take advantage of one of their quest actions to attempt to lure the whale to follow in a specific direction that they want. This roll is a contested cunning versus the whale's stat roll. So if you'd give me just a moment to double check. Yes, they will guide the next movement of the white whale, and the whale receives advantage on a roll to flee should it need that, should this be successful. So this is going to be an opposed roll, so let's go ahead and roll for the Tohora Fai first, so we can set the success rate. Tohora Fai have rolled an 8, and the whale, which is making the same roll, has rolled a 13. So unfortunately, they weren't successful at convincing the whale to follow them this turn. So that's quite unfortunate, but you know, the dice be that way sometime. Let's go make this note on the faction turn list. And I suppose I should also note that this was a success with a 14, reveal 1 planet. And over here, we have an 8v, the whale roll a 13. Yeah, 8v13, failure, there. Oh, that's alright. They're now going to take advantage of the revised charts map modification rules to try to establish a gas giant mine on the new planet they've just discovered. So this is just a d10 roll plus their constellation bonus of 5 versus difficulty 8. Hopefully they can pull this one off. It's a fairly easy roll, and a 10 will succeed at that without any problem. So that gives us a 10, which is a success. So let's go add that before I forget. Onto sector objects. 0012. It's no longer point of interest 3. Thank you. It's now planet BQ. I'll fix it later. 0012, planet BQ. Oh, there. And now it's fixed. Okay, so this is a gas giant mine, which we will call Gas Giant Mine 1. To go from there. It seems like... Did I get names for these moons? I felt like I did. Foxy, when you see this, remind me if I haven't updated this list. I felt like I saw names for these moons, but maybe I just saw the discussion and haven't actually seen the official names. But somebody I'm sure will correct me if those need to be updated. And then the final thing we're going to be doing for their turn is taking care of a planetary ruin on Lagan. Somewhere in here is that planet. Oh, that's right. It has a special character in it, doesn't it? no, it doesn't. I just can't search for it, apparently. So this is going to be a ruin exploration, so it's going to be a D10 versus the success meter to see how much success is made. A 9, that's promising. I'm pretty sure a 9 on the ruins roll is 2 plus 2 to the clock. So that takes this ruin to 4 out of 8 of exploration, and we get a new update in the story of Beamish and crew to see how their exploration of this ruin, which I'm sure has already happened for the BBTV rebroadcast, and how that has been going. So they can expect a new lore blurb from me on this topic. That would wrap up the Tahora Fai's turn after we give them their 2 experience for completing their exploration and get to move right along to the next factions. We thank them for their contribution to this turn. So the Starlit Court is up next, coming in 4th this turn. They're going to be taking a fairly standard and fairly simple turn for them. They're going to just be seizing the planet BF, way out in the 1700 hex, which is way up here. So they'll get to claim that planet. There's nobody there to oppose them, so that seize will start. And then they're going to be moving a smuggler from the 1605 hex to the 1607 hex, right down there. So we'll go make both of those movements for them. Let's go move the smugglers of theirs, and it's going to be going into 1607, which I'm going to have to make a spot for, but they were the only thing in 1605, so 1605 can just become 1607. Perfect. And they have started the seize, so seize, planet, this was BF. It is now at 1 of 3. Perfect. Their movement cost them 1 faction credit. They gain 4 credits of income, so we'll give them a total of 11, and hopefully I haven't messed up their cash like I did last turn. Their fairly short and sweet turn, but it'll be quite interesting to see what they're doing with Planet BF here in the near future. We'll move right along down to the 5th faction of this turn then, of the Children of the Vein, who are not setting a goal this turn, but are doing quite enough other things to keep their turn very busy. Let's start off with going and giving them their income, bringing them up to a total balance of 17 faction credits. They'll first be starting off by taking the strike fleet on Yakia and moving it to Tellus, which will cost them 1 faction credit to do. So right here, Yakia is moving back to Tellus, and that, if we go take a look at the map, we can see is way out here at 1410, and so you may be thinking, how can you move back to Tellus? The strike fleets only have a range of 2. Tellus has a very special ability in our game that allows it to always be the target of a movement asset. So you are always able to move back to the planet of Tellus from anywhere in our system. Quite nice for being able to get back home quickly for the Children of the Vein. So that does cost them 1 faction credit, and normally landing on the planet of Tellus would cost an additional pirate's tax by the Tahora Fai, but the Children of the Vein's bank negates this tax. So we'll just charge them 1 faction credit for this movement. They then are doing another move with this strike fleet that is out here and the hex 1105, which is right here, and it's going to be moving into the 1206 hex to land on the planet of Calypso. So 1206 to land on Calypso. Pretty nice movement. Also costs 1 faction credit, so we'll go take away 2 faction credits for those movements, bringing them down to 15. They're then going to activate a PostTech Industry asset, which we need to double check what exactly the roll results here on this D6 give in response. So the PostTech Industry says on a 1, 1 faction credit is lost, 2 to 4 earns a faction credit, and 5 to 6 earns 2. They are fanatical, so they get to re-roll any 1s once, so let's add up this d6, re-rolling 1s once, they've rolled a 5. That will give them the 2 faction credits they just spent on movement right back. Quite nice for them. Let's take them back up to 17 and make a note that this rolled a 5, which was plus 2 faction credits. Next, they're going to take their free action from being the planetary governor controller of Tellus to heal a strike fleet that is currently located on there by plus 1 faction credits. I don't know if there's more than one on Tellus. Here's all of these assets. None of those are the strike fleet, so I think this is the strike fleet on Tellus right here. The one that just moved back. It now has 5 out of 8 HP available to it. We will also get rid of their purchase sickness on the marketers that they bought last turn. And then finally, to wrap out the last of their actions, which regards to the current quest they are on, they're going to be establishing a missionary clinic on Calypso, the planet they just got that strike fleet to land on, and they are being welcomed by the planetary government controller, so that gives them a plus 2 bonus. They're going to be spending 4 faction credits to get another plus 4, so they get a total of plus 6 on this roll versus a target DC of 8. So let's go roll that d10 plus 8. They get to re-roll 1s, because again, they are fanatical, so re-rolling 1s. Plus 6 versus DC 8. They've rolled an 8 exactly. That will give them a success, placing this missionary clinic on planet. Let's find a note from where I've done that previously. I've just moved some things around. Let's fix that. So notes here, Children of the Vein Missionary Clinic, and now I need to find the planet of Calypso. Well, there it is. And it now has a missionary clinic on it. Quite nice, and that gives a new update to the roll for the quest clock to advance by 5d6 minus 5, rerolling all 1s again, as is the case for the Children of the Vein here. That's going to get them a total bonus of plus 15 on their clock. They are really going, and that one reroll did seem to help them a little bit. So that'll take them on up to a total quest clock of 39 progress out of 66. So let's come over here and take them on up to 39. And quite nice, quite nice. That wraps up their turn. They didn't set a goal, so no goal to complete, and we thank them for their contribution to the quest. And for the faction turn. We'll move right along onto the 6th faction this turn of the Emelhart Institute. They're going to be taking the Expand Influence goal, as well as taking the requisite action to complete that goal, as is pretty standard. They're going to be building another base of influence onto the planet AK. And it's going to be another large base of influence, which is pretty exciting for them. So let's see what exactly they come up with. So let's go give them their 5 faction credits to begin with, bringing the Emelhart Institute up to a total balance of 43 faction credits. We'll then come see on the planet of AK that is located in the 0315 sector. Well down here. Did I copy their wrong turn? This seems like their old turn. 1 second. I did copy their old turn. How did that happen? I don't know. That was seeming way too familiar. One moment as I fix that. They're actually going to be taking the Explore action, not the Expand Goal action. But that's fine, given that they're, you know, effectively going to be working here. Okay, cool. Now that I've copied that over correctly, but see, I did weird. I just must have miscopied over because I had half of the 2 turns put together on my notes here. Welp. Well, this now matches what I have as the most recent message, so we're gonna keep rolling with my new fixed turn. That was a weird one. I'm glad I caught that. So they still get their income, so that is just as like normal. But we get to move on, and they're actually going to be exploring a system right in the area of the 0214 system right here, which is 1 hex away from the nearest explored planet, giving it a difficulty of 10 for this. And they will be succeeding at cost. So a commodities broker is a wealth asset for the Emelhart Institute. Emelhart Institute's wealth score is a +6, so this is a D10 +6 versus a DC of 10. A 13 will complete it without any problems, and let's see how many planets they're going to reveal. That's going to be 2 planets in this hex, so let's take a look at the first one together, and then I'll roll that second one and show it off in just a moment. So this is in the 0... Let's see here, 0214. Okay. Planet map. 0214 is going to be way up here, and I'm going to need another row. Yeah, I know. These can just come down, and this is actually 0214. Thanks, Excel, for your auto update. So this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, R, so this is BR. This is B. I'll go with BS. We can have a planet BS. So the first planet here, planet BR, has a mechanics tag of force assets cost 1 less to build on this world. It has a billions of population that are currently living at TL0 with a breathable mix atmosphere that is a variable cold temperature and has no native biosphere. It also has very restrictive laws and cyclical doom as a planet tags. A ruins roll of only 5 will not place a ruin on this planet, unfortunately. The next roll here gives us planet BS with a mechanics tag of add 1 XP for a successful planetary seizure. That's pretty cool. With a population of a failed colony that finds itself at TL5, with an atmosphere of a breathable mix, a temperate temperature, and a missable biosphere. Is this like our first perfect planet? Except for the fact that it has societal despair and sectarians on it, maybe? This may be our, like, nearly perfect planet. A ruins roll of a 3, though, will not give it a ruin, which would have made it even more perfect. For transparency of the rolls, here is the results there for the other planet. I think the Emelhart may have just found, like, our... Do we have another planet, but that is breathable, mixed, temperate, and missable? Because this would be like Earth's range falls under those 3. I'm not sure if we have another exploration planet that's come out that way. Is Heliositis the same way? Okay. I believe that one, but I think this may be our first randomly rolled planet that's this way, which is pretty cool. And it's TL5, which is a nice bonus. So, congratulations to the Emelhart Institute for that exploration. They're then going to be moving that commodities broker that is on this planet that was just explored into another point of interest in 0215. So let's go move that for them. Wait, so 0215. It would normally cost an additional faction credit for moving into a point of interest. However, that is not currently applicable, so there's only the cost of the movement, which is 1 faction credit, which brings the Emelhart Institute's total down to 42. they've completed their goal, so they can go up to 13 experience, and that's quite nice. Very exciting for them. We get to move on to our next faction then, after they've completed their very exciting turn, where we get to see the Augumala Syndicate take a very interesting play. They're going to be taking the goal of Blood the Enemy, which we're going to double check here. Blood the Enemy is inflict a number of hit point damage on enemy factions equal to your faction's total force, cunning, and wealth ratings. So if we come down here, we can see that the Augumala Syndicate is going to set that goal, and they need now a total of, let's see, 10, it looks like, damage dealt. So let's BTE. It's at 0 out of 10 right now, and we'll use that as a spot to keep track as to where they are at in their Blood the Enemy goal. Let's give them their income, bringing them up to 42 faction credits, and then let's go ahead and complete their actions for this turn. So the first two things they're going to be doing is moving some strike fleets around. So the Hex 1309 right here has a strike fleet in it that is going to be moving into 1211. There is a strike fleet on Nueva Cuauhtémoc that is right here, and it is also going to be moving into 1211. And the covert shipping asset on Nueva Cuauhtémoc right here is going to move the cyber ninjas off of Planet E right over here, and they're going to move on over down to Planet L, which is a hex above it right there. Almost can't fit it all on my screen. So all of those movements get to take place. That's well in range of the covert shipping assets movement, so those are going to cost a total of 3 faction credits worth of movement. So let's take the Augumala Syndicate down to 39 faction credits and then go take these movements. So Strike Fleet in 1309 is moving to 1211. The Strike Fleet on Nueva Cuauhtémoc, which is right here, is moving also down to 1211. And the covert shipping asset on Nueva Cuauhtémoc is moving the cyber ninjas from Planet E right here to Planet L. Perfect. They're then going to take their free action as part of their quest to attempt to reveal the white whale and unstealth him. So this is an opposed cunning versus cunning roll. If they win, the white whale loses stealth. So the whale only has stats of 4. The Augumala Syndicate's cunning skill is a 3, so let's roll their result first. So this is a d10 plus 3 for the Augumala Syndicate, giving them a 7. So let's roll that d10 plus 4 for the whale, who rolls a 10. So the whale is succeeded again. This whale is hard to convince to do anything. We can't find him, we can't make him follow ships. He's just, he's just hanging out in this hex. He just doesn't want anything to do with other people. But that takes care of that. Let's go make notes of this, the results of this here roll. So we want to come take a look over here. So this was failure of 7v10. So the siege on Planet L does go off successfully, as there's nobody else here to stop this siege, but that does, however, mean none of these other attacks can go off because the Augumala, the white whale, is still stealthed in the 1211 hex, so that's quite unfortunate for them. But let's go start that siege so that they at least get progress on that. So we come over here to the Augumala Syndicate. We're now tracking another thing for them as they seize Planet L, which is currently at 1 out of 3, and seizing the Planet E can move up to 2 out of 3. So, I mean, at least, these numbers went up. Could expand my notes column so it all fits. I should put strike-throughs through all these attacks, because that's what I was doing last time on things that weren't valid. Well, I suppose they were valid, they just couldn't execute, so I'm not really sure that deserves a strike-through. They're all valid attacks, they're not able to actually target the white whale, because he's not there. As far as they know. We all know he's there, but, you know, he's stealth, so you can't find him. He's got a little check mark. Right there. He's got the check mark. Though he does have some new assets. He did get some zealots traded to him last turn, so that'll be interesting to see what those zealots get up to. But that completes the Agumala Syndicate's turn, and we thank them for their contribution. Up next is the Concord of Mutual Disdain, who are going to be continuing the exploration train, taking themselves up first, though, to a total of 32 faction credits. They are then going to move some assets around and do some exploration. So let's copy over their turn and then start processing it out. Alright, so they're going to move a strike fleet from 1617 to 1818. So 1617 is way down here, and it's going to be moving from here into 1818. They're going all the way to the corner of the sector. Very exciting for us. So let's go take care of that movement, and it would normally cost them 2 faction credits. However, this time it only costs them 1 due to that investment by the TTGI, so this costs... I don't need strike through anymore, thanks. This costs 1 faction credit. Excuse me, so let's go charge them for that and then make the exploration roll. So that's going to take them down to 31 faction credits. They are exploring with a strike fleet. They have a force modifier for the Concord of Mutual Disdain of +5. This difficulty is 1 hex away from a nearest explored hex, so this is just difficulty 10, so a d10 +5 gives a resulting roll of exactly a 10. Wow, we're having quite a lot of razor-thin successes this turn, but you know, that's seems to be some balance, given I feel like I've rolled quite a lot of damages on these explorations compared to the number of straight successes. Let's see how many planets they're going to discover. Only 1 planet, unfortunately. And I've rolled like 3 on many ruin rolls this turn. That seems quite funny, but we do have another TL5 planet, it does seem. So this was in the 1818 hex, which is going to be fun to fill in the bottom sheet of this one. So this is planet BT. This is planet BT, with a mechanics tag of special forces assets built on this world, cost 1 less faction credit. It has the population of millions of people that are finding themselves living at, as I mentioned, TL5, with a airless or thin atmosphere that is temperate and has no native biosphere. It has the tags of heavy mining and taboo treasure, or its 2 planet tags. The ruin roll of a 3 does not give it a ruin, unfortunately. We need to have a 20 to get that to happen, and that's quite alright. Alright, that does complete their goal, but they have 2 more movements to take place, so let's do that first. They're going to be moving a strike fleet from the hex 1412, right here on planet BL, into 1613, and they're going to be moving some smugglers' assets from 1510 right here into the hex 1709. Right over there. So both of those movements are perfectly fine. Let's go make them. This is going to cost them another total of 2 faction credits for the Concord of Mutual Disdain. So that first one takes us from 1412 to 1613, which is going to mean the map gets all confused, but I'll fix it after stream. And the smugglers that are currently in 1510, which is this top row, are going to go out to 1709. That didn't finish typing. Perfect. That wraps all of those up. And let's go give them, charge them for these final 2 movements, taking them down to 29 faction credits and gaining them 2 experience, bringing them up to 5. And then last, but certainly not least as far as turns from player factions go this turn, comes Ascent, which is going to be finishing up with some exploration after we give them their income of 6 faction credits. So let's go copy their turn over and go from there. They're going to be moving some smugglers' actions to the hex of 1718, but of course it's only going to cost them 1 faction credit, not 2, to complete this movement, and then they're going to take the Explorer. So, smugglers in 1517, which is way down here, are going to be moving to 1718, which is perfectly fine. So let's go take that movement for them. Send smugglers 1517 to 1718. That costs 1 faction credit. Let's go make that charge before I forget, because I'm sure I will if I don't, bringing them down to 44. The smuggler's asset, I believe, is cunning, giving them a d6 to this roll. It is only 1 hex away, as 1818 has now been explored, so that's a difficulty of 10, so d10 plus 6 versus DC 10. A 14 is about as good of a success as you could get, so that will be a successful exploration. Let's see how many planets they reveal. Just 1 planet. Not very many got revealed today, but that's alright. So we get to add 1 final planet to the turn in the 1718 hex. Planet map be right here. So this is planet BU. We can go with that, giving us a mechanics tag on this planet of force assets deal 1 additional damage or counterattack damage on a successful attack or counterattack, with a population of billions of people fighting themselves at TL4 with a breathable mixed atmosphere that is temperate and missable. 2nd planet in the same turn that is perfectly average. I'm sure nothing goes wrong here. It's not like there's some specialty local tech, nor is it a police state. I mean, of course not. Ruin's roll of 11 will not give it to Ruin, unfortunately, so no Ruin found there, but otherwise, pretty interesting planet to have discovered. That is for sure. Alright. I think that brings us to the White Whale, then, as far as a faction turn. So the White Whale was undisturbed this turn. So it needs to roll a d10 to where it is going to either gain stealth, which it already has, or heal, but it is at full health. So again, the White Whale's turn doesn't quite matter, but I'm going to go ahead and roll it either way, just so I can remember to get into the habit. 10 gives us an even result, meaning that we would gain some health. Seeing as I don't actually need to gain any health for the White Whale, I won't make a roll there, but I will make a note of what the White Whale tried to do. And it looks like it was in fact different than last time, as it tried to gain the stealth tag. So that's pretty exciting. We were even. Heal. Pretty exciting for the White Whale, if I do say so myself. Well, that wraps up all of our faction turns for this month, but we're not quite done with the turn itself, so we're going to head on into the planet here and come find Tellus so that we can take its terraforming clock from 10 up to 11, so pretty exciting clock progress here. We'll get to see what all the results of that are. Let me just double check. I think there may actually need to be a reveal of mine about Tellus. But let me be careful not to leak my document on stream. Nope, step 11 has no announcement particularly, but hopefully it seems obvious that a completion of this clock does result in some more details from me being revealed. As we are at a clock of 11 out of 12, and we will progress to completion next turn, the TTGI found itself very quiet this month, as it is busy finishing up the remaining necessary adjustments to the terraforming clock and the appropriate announcements of the completion of terraforming that will finish up next faction turn. So there is no new proposal to vote on this month, nor will there be next month, more than likely. The proposal itself is prepare a celebration for the completion and the announcement of the completion of Telos' terraforming. So I'm going to spend some time working with the Children of the Vein to put together an announcement for that, which they're just finding out now. So I will be, expect me to come out to them, and hopefully we'll be able to get some other factions involved into that project. And I'm starting it now so that we have about 6 weeks to get that announcement put together, rather than the 2 we would normally have after a faction turn before the next lore stream. So be aware that I may be coming out to asking some of these different factions how they'd like to participate, and how they like to participate in that celebration of the completion of Telos' terraforming. So, with that though, I think we're gonna, be able to start wrapping some things up here. I don't think I have any other specific announcements for this month. Does not look like it. So, the next lore stream date has not quite yet been decided, so keep a lookout for that. I'll be announcing it probably either later today or tomorrow, but you can guess it'll be sometime within the next 2 or 3 weeks. I just need to confirm a date before I announce it. As well as the following faction turn dates, you can expect that to come out over the weekend as well, for all of the faction reps. If you want to switch faction turns, or if you're new and want to join into a faction on the Discord, make sure you got your turn swaps in by the end of the day on the 28th of February. So we'll actually have a turn swap at the start of a month here, as it lines up with when we would normally have that occur anyway. So that would be quite that thing. Also, it looks like, Ender, you had a question. If the lore succeeds, does it move on the whale's turn? Just wanted to get clarification. I will follow up with you afterwards. Let me just double check all of the different the rules that I've written out about the whale, just so that I can make sure I get you the correct answer and not my off-the-cuff streaming brain answer, which is highly likely to be wrong. So I'll double check my notes and get back with you. If I don't by later today, just DM me on Discord with a reminder, please, and I'd appreciate it. But I think that will about wrap things up for this stream, which is pretty good. So thanks everyone for coming out and enjoying the stream. I bet if you try to load the map right now, and if I tried to refresh, it won't load. Give me about 20 to 30 minutes just to fix up some things on the spreadsheet. There are some of those space hexes that have had spaceship assets move into them, so I'll need to fix the map so that those display properly. So I'll be doing that over the next 20 minutes or so, and get that all fixed up for you. But thanks for coming out for Faction Turn 17 here with Unrestricted Lorefare in our Beacon Space setting. Again, if you want to know more, you can join our Discord. Links is either underneath the video if you're watching this on YouTube, or !Discord will handle it in Twitch chat. Thanks for coming out. I've been your host, Xavier, or Lichmaster98, and I will see you, hopefully in not too long, for a new lore stream episode from myself and Calbrick. Have a great evening, everyone, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.